Hi, Linda Sessions here, and I am going to cover Excel 2, the project called Rivera Engineering. And we're going to go over the skills that you need to complete that project in Excel. So here in Cengage, I've got my assignment opened. I need to download the instructions and download the starter file. Once I have my project completed, then I will return here and then upload it into SAM, and then I will look at submit it for grading, and then I will check my grade. So I'm going to come over here. I've downloaded both the instructions and the starter file. Here are my instructions. I'm going to format some worksheets. The first thing I need to do is enable editing, and that's just to get rid of that yellow bar across the top. I am going to come up here and on my maximize button, I'm going to choose the 2 screen, so I have 2 screens open on my monitor. I'm going to come back up here to downloads, and I'm going to download the starter file, which is an Excel file, since that's what we're looking at. Again, I'm going to enable editing so that I can format my document. I'm going to come up here to my maximize button, and I am going to click on this button here in the second row, and I'm going to choose the one on the right side because I want it to be on the right hand side of my screen. So you can see I have both the instructions and my starter file open on my same screen. Now over here on my instructions, I'm going to come down here to my zoom bar, and I'm going to select the plus sign and increase that a little bit just so I can see my instructions a little better. You can do the same thing over here in your Excel file as well. The zoom bar down here at the bottom helps you increase the magnification of your document on your monitor. It does not affect the printout in any way. You can see I have my documentation tab open. I can see that my name is listed as the author, so I can go ahead and start working on the assignment. The first thing that I need to do is save it by changing the 1 to a 2 in my file name. So I'm going to come up here to File. I'm going to come down to Save As, and I always personally come down here to Browse so I can tell it exactly where I want to save my file at. For this particular assignment, I'm going to go to my Documents folder. I'm going to choose my Computer Class folder. Now I'm going to come here on my file name, and I'm going to change that 1 to a 2. And it's automatically going to add the Excel SX to it. I'm going to hit Save. And now I am ready to start working on my project instructions. Okay, so we have been asked to make some changes and format this workbook just to make the information clear and more understanding. And so we are going to first go to the Employees for Projects worksheet. One thing I will tell you, when you're working on in an Excel file with multiple worksheets, you want to pay attention to what worksheet you're working on. In this case, you can see we have 3 different tabs. We've got our Documentation tab, the Employee for Projects tabs, and our Project Tracking tab. Each tab is going to open up a different worksheet, and there'll be different items and different changes that you'll make on the different worksheets. So always make sure that you're on the correct worksheet for the step that you're working on. In this case, we want to be on the Employees for Projects, so I'm going to select that tab. Now I'm going to change the worksheet theme to Office. So the theme has to do with changing how your document, the theme, like the colors, the font, just the basic look of your document. So up here in the page layout, you have the themes. Now here I have Office 365, and you can see I have 2 themes I can choose from. I can change, I have the Office theme, and then I also have Office 2013-2022 theme. I am going to choose the Office 2022 theme. And I'm going to do this because that way I'm going to be able to see the colors I need to see when I'm going to make changes into this assignment. If you choose this first Office theme, you're not going to be able to find the colors that the instructions are asking you for. So make sure you choose this Office 2013-2022 theme. So now I'm going to come back up and make the Home tab my active tab, and I am going to go to cell 1, A1. I'm going to decrease my font size to 18. And then I'm going to change my fill color to blue accent 1. And the color is the background. So I have this paint can, looks like a paint can tipping over. That's my fill color. It's just going to change the background color of my cell just to make it stand out on my document. I'm going to click on this arrow right here, and I have some colors that appear. And when I put my mouse over this fifth cell, it's going to say blue accent 1. Now, if you don't see that blue accent 1, go back to that page layout and the theme and make sure you choose the Office 2013-2022 theme. Now, if you're on a Mac computer, you are not going to see this little box that pops up that tells you what the color is. And you're just going to have to go over to that fifth one. We want it to be blue accent 1, lighter 80%. Got to read the second line of that the deal. So I've got blue accent 1, and then I'm going to come down here, and right here, blue accent 1, lighter 80%. That's the first one there. So the first one in the row underneath it, 80%. And so when I do that, now I can still see the employees for projects. So again, make sure that you look at both lines of your instructions, okay? In 3, we are going to color or center the values in the range B3 to B9. So I'm going to come up here in my name box, and I'm going to type in B3 semicolon B9 to select that range. Another way you can select the range is put make B3 your active cell, and as long as your mouse is that white plus sign, then you're going to click with your left mouse key and drag down to B9. So there's 2 ways you can select that range. We want to center these values. So in alignment, we have our choice of 6 different alignments that we can choose. And we want to choose the center alignment to center our content in that cell. Then number 4, we want to add outside borders to the range A1 to C9. Now you can see it changes the range. So we need to change the range that we have selected. So I'm going to come up here to my name box and select the range A1 colon C9 to select the range that it's asking for, and I'm going to add outside borders. And up here in the font grouping, I have this square with a plus sign in it, and this is my border icon. I can click on this down arrow, and I'm going to choose outside borders. It's going to automatically add outside borders. Now if I click on this down arrow again, you can see down there's lots of different borders you can choose from, and down here at the bottom is more borders, and this brings up even more detailed borders that you can choose, where you can choose the styles, you can change the colors, and you can tell exactly where you want the border to go. Now down here on the tabs and number 5, it wants us to change the color of the employee projects for tabs to blue accent 1. So I'm going to right click on there, right click on the tab, and then right here is my tab color. And I'm going to come up and I'm going to change that to blue accent 1. Again, if you don't see that blue accent 1, you need to make sure that you've selected that Office 2013-2022 theme. Now in number 6, we want to go to the project tracking worksheet. So we've done everything on this worksheet that we're going to do. So now we're going to come to the project tracking. And you can see we've changed our worksheets. We're going to go to cell B2. So I make B2 my active cell. And we want to change the date format to short date. So up here, we've got a date right here, Monday, May 20th, 2024. So up here in our number grouping on our Home tab, if we click on this down arrow, it was date, we have a choice. There's the long date that has the date in it, the week date. And then there's the short date, which just shows the month, day, and year. And we want the short date. And then we also want to resize column B to its best fit. Now remember, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can put your mouse over B where it's a down pointing arrow and click on it, and then come over here to Cells, Format, and Auto Fit Column Width. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on this Undo button, and just to undo that, because the other way you can do this is I can make B2 my active cell again. If I take my mouse and move it between B and C, see how my mouse changes? Depending upon what your mouse looks like, it will do different things. When it is that double-headed arrow, we can double click and it's going to automatically resize the B column to be auto fit. So there's 2 different ways you can do that. Now step 7, we want to display the values in range D4 to D13. We only want it to show 1 decimal place. So we're going to select the range D4 through D13. And right now you can see there are no decimal places at all. It's just a whole number. Up here in our number grouping, we have our increased decimal, and right next to that we have our decreased decimal. Now if you're on a Mac computer, you're going to see these symbols, but you're not going to see those little name boxes pop up. Now we want to increase it. We want it to show 1 decimal place. So we're going to come over here and we're going to click on this increased decimal 1 time. So we're going to click on that, and now we can show exactly how many hours are on there. In 8, we want to go to F4, and it wants us to insert a formula without using a function that multiplies the estimated hours by the pay rate. And then we're going to copy that down to F13. Now, when it says insert a formula without using a function, it means that it wants us to create our own formula. So in Excel 1, we used the sum function, and it automatically created the mathematical equation for us. Well, we're going to tell Excel what we want our mathematical equation to be. To do that, the first thing we have to do is let Excel know we're entering a mathematical equation. To do that, we're going to hit the equal key, and we want to multiply the estimated hours, which is D4. So I can just click on D4, or I can type in D4 if I want to, but I can just click on D4, and I want to multiply that. So I'm going to use the symbol from multiplication, which is the asterisk key or Shift 8. So I want to multiply that by his pay rate, which is E4. So I'm just going to click in E4. Or you can type in E4 if you want. So I've told it to multiply the estimated hours times the rate. Now I'm going to enter the formula because I haven't actually entered it yet until I've either hit the enter key or I've clicked on this check mark. Now I'm going to click on the check mark because I want F4 to stay my active cell. So I'm going to click on the check mark and you can see it totaled my estimated billings here in F4. Up here in my formula bar, it shows me the formula. But did you see what happened over here in K4? It automatically filled that cell up for me because this already has a formula in it. And because it had a formula in it that referenced J4, as soon as you entered information into J4 or F4, then K4 updated. That's what makes Excel so wonderful. Once you have your spreadsheet and your formulas set up, you enter in your data and it will automatically update for you. So you can see here in K5, there's already formula there. So as soon as we make some changes, it's going to update that cell as well. So we're going to go to F4 and we're going to copy this formula down. So we're going to select on the fill handle, which is that little square right down in the right hand corner. We're going to move our mouse over it until it's at that skinny plus sign or the crosshairs, and we're going to drag down to F13, and you can see it automatically fills in our K column for us. On step 9, we want F4 to F13, which is the range we have selected already. We want to apply the currency number format with the $ in 2 decimal places. Right now, it's just showing a number. We have no idea what that number means. So we want our reader to know that, hey, this is in dollars. So we can come right up here and our number format box, click on that. We want it to be currency. And when you select currency, it's going to put the $ right next to the number. And we want to make sure that it's showing 2 decimal places. So if you're not showing 2 decimal places here, you're going to come up here and either decrease or increase your decimals until it shows 2 decimal places. Now you'll notice that there's an option for currency and accounting. The difference between the two is currency will put the $ right next to your number. If you choose accounting, you can see how it spreads everything out and it puts the $ right next to the left-hand side of the cell. So it's the difference between currency and accounting is the way it's formatted, how it looks. We are been asked by our text, by our instructions, to make it currency. So now in number 10, we want to display the values in K4 to K13. So I'm going to select the range K4 to K13. And this is a percentage. And so we wanted, it does say percent up here, but we actually want it to have a percentage sign after it. So up here in our number format, here is our percentage symbol. And this is going to change it to our percent style. And we want to make sure that there's no decimal places. So again, if you see decimal places, you're going to either do the increase or decrease decimal. We also want to bring to the forefront any cell that has a value greater than 10%. We want that to pop out to our reader. And so we're going to do something that's called conditional formatting. And conditional formatting is right here on our ribbon in the Styles area on the Home tab. And this just is the way to easily spot trends and patterns in our data with a visual representation. And there's different ways we can do it. If I click on the arrow right here, you can see I can highlight the cells. I can just do the top or bottom percent of the cells, or above average, below average. I can do data bars on the cells, which we're going to do here in just a minute. I can do icon sets. There's lots of different things we can do. What we want to do for this one is we want to do the highlight cell rules, and we want to find any cell that has a value greater than 10%. So we're going to choose greater than, and we want this to be 10%. And then right here, we want to make sure it's light red fill with dark red text. Now, by default, that's what mine comes up as. If yours doesn't say that, you can click on this arrow right here and just make sure you have that one selected. There are some options that are automatically filled, or you can go to the custom format to tell it exactly what color you want the cell to appear. Then we're going to say OK. And you can see when I select off, any cell that is over 10% is automatically going to be updated. Now, what is really nice about this is if any of this information changes to where the percent increases, this will automatically increase, and the formatting, conditional formatting, will also appear. So if any changes make, and so there's another one that's over 10%, or one of these goes beneath 10%, the color will either go away or it will appear in that cell. So in H4 to H13, we want to draw attention to how much money is in the billings by using data bars. So again, that's another conditional formatting. So I come up here to conditional formatting, and we want to use data bars, and we want to do the gradient fill blue. See what that does is the lowest one has a short data bar, and the larger ones have full data bars. So you can see kind of at a glance which one is the lowest and which ones are larger. Again, it's just an easy way to read the data on your spreadsheet or on your worksheet. Here at the bottom of our worksheet is where we're going to put some data that refers to statistics. And we're going to use functions to show the average, the minimum or the highest, or the lowest, sorry, or the maximum, which is the highest. And we can automatically do that with functions. So the first thing we need to do is in G14, we want to show the average of G4 to G13. So up here in the editing, we can click on this auto sum and click on the average right next to it, and we can, or the arrow, and then we can choose average. Remember, when you use a function, Excel's going to automatically select a range for you. And you have to look and make sure that that range is correct, because sometimes it's not, as we'll see in just a minute. This one is correct. We want the average of G4 to G13. So I'm going to click on the check mark to enter it, and there's my average. In G15, I'm going to select to make G15 my active cell. I want to show the minimum or the lowest. So I'm going to come back up here to the editing, I'm going to click on this down arrow again, and now I'm going to go to minimum, and look, it selected G4 to G14. It automatically picks up the cell that is the closest to it that has a number in it. But remember, we want the minimum from G4 to G13, not G14. So we need to come up here and we need to change and make that 14 into a 13. And then enter. We want the minimum of G4 to G13. Finally, we're going to go to the maximum. We're going to come up to editing, go back to that auto sum, and we want the max. Again, you have to pay attention to the range it selects, because this time it went all the way down to G15. We don't want that. We want it to be G13, so we need to change this 15 to a 13 and then enter. So if I scroll down to the next page in my instructions, it's going to show me that this is what my employee per projects should look like. And then if I scroll on down, this is what my Rivera Engineering project tracker, my project tracking worksheet should look like. Again, don't just go in and enter the information that you see over here. Just because you have dollar signs here, if you put it in the accounting number format, it's not going to be correct because the instructions asked for currency, and there are two different styles. I'm ready now to make sure I've saved my information. I'm going to close my file. I'm going to come back to my assignment box in Cengage. I'm going to drop and find my program or the file that I created. I'm going to put it in my computer class. I want number 2, the chapter 2. I'm going to open it. Again, you have to make sure your file names match. If the file names don't match, it will not accept it. And now I'm going to submit for grading. Right away, it's submitted. Sometimes it takes a few more minutes or a little bit longer to submit and grade. If I click on my graded summary report, I can look at it. And if I didn't receive full marks, then it's going to be a red check mark, and over here it will tell me how many I've missed. And I can go back and I can open up my original document and I can look at my instructions and I can see maybe I got number 3 wrong. I can look at number 3 and I can go back to my original document and I can make those changes, and then I can open up my assignment again in Cengage and resubmit it for a higher grade. So that is Excel 2, the Rivera Engineering project. Let me know if you have any questions. You can send me an email, put it in the comments. If you like and follow me, find out when I post a new video. I want you to be able to learn to use Excel. And these are the basics of using Excel. So again, I'm Linda Sessions, and I hope wherever you are, you've had some sunshine in your life today. Have a great day. Bye.